and welcome to Renew by Down to Earth Ministries. My name is Isaiah Powell, and I'm going to be your host for today's episode as we're going to be talking about worship. And today's episode is just going to be a quick reminder that worship isn't just what we do when life is good. It's who we are no matter what comes. Whether we're standing on the mountaintop or walking through the darkest of valleys, we're called to worship Jesus, the one who never changes. So let's talk about worship today. Life throws us challenges, heartbreaks, and uncertainties. But the truth is, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, as we see in Hebrews 13:8. That means our reason to worship never disappears. He never changes, so his being owed our worship never changes. When storms rage, when doubts creep in, when pain feels unbearable, we still have a God who is worthy of all of our praise. Our worship in the valley is just as powerful, if not more, than our worship on the mountaintops. Let's read Psalm 34, verse 1. It says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth." Notice what David says, at all times. Not just when things feel good, not just when prayers are answered, at all times. Worship is a decision. It's fixing our eyes on Jesus when everything else around us is shifting. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2 reminds us to fix our eyes on Jesus. It's in those times that we can decide to worship him and to fix our eyes on him. That verse says, "Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God." Jesus endured the cross with joy because he saw the end result. When we worship in the middle of trials, we're declaring, "God, I trust you. I believe you're in control. You are still good. You are still God, and I will look unto you." Psalm 23 reminds us that even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we don't have to fear because God, our shepherd, is with us. That's why we worship in the valley. It's why it's powerful. It's our weapon against fear, anxiety, despair within our own hearts. So what's the practical application? How do we live this worship out in our daily life? Let's look at 4 things. First, we choose to worship daily. Worship is not just something we do on Sunday mornings. It's a daily decision. Even when we wake up feeling tired, anxious, or overwhelmed, we can choose to lift our hearts toward God. Psalm 118, verse 24 says, "This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Every single day, whatever it holds is a gift from God, and rejoicing ought to be our response for it. Choosing to worship daily sets the tone for just about everything else. And if we can worship God no matter what comes, joy can follow because God will get us through that day and grant us a next if he's gracious. Secondly, we can sing in the dark. When Paul and Silas were thrown in prison, beaten and chained, they could have complained. But instead, what did they do? Acts chapter 16 tells us in verses 25 through 26, it says this, "And at midnight Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed." Paul and Silas' worship literally shook the foundations of the prison and set them free. Worship in your midnight hour reminds the enemy that hope is not tied to your circumstances. It's anchored in the God that never changes. Thirdly, we can declare God's character. When we speak and sing about who God is, our perspective shifts from fear to faith. Isaiah 25 verse 1 says, "O Lord, thou art my God. I will exalt thee. I will praise thy name, for thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels are old, are faithfulness and truth." Declare God's faithfulness, his goodness, his mercy, even when we may not feel like it. This strengthens our spirit. It keeps our focus on his unchanging nature rather than our changing and struggling circumstances. We can focus on God's character because that never changes. And fourthly, we can thank Him for the future. Thanksgiving isn't just about looking back. It's about looking forward in faith. Philippians 4:6 encourages us by saying, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God." When you thank God for what He will do, you're expressing trust that He is already working on your behalf. It's a powerful way to worship in the advance of your breakthrough in life. There may be times when the moment or the circumstance just doesn't seem like that moment is worth praising God for. Well, really, eventually you may see the purpose in it. But even though you're going through the darkest times, no matter what life will face, you can always worship God for what He is yet to do. Worship Him for what is yet to come, for He is God and He is good. So remember this, your worship, it's powerful. Not just because we ought to worship the God that reigns, but it can help lift our spirits because it lifts your perspective from the problem to the problem solver. It reminds us who is on the throne. It takes our eyes off of the problems around us and helps us focus on the one who is faithful, the one who is good, the one who is merciful, the one who is gracious and reigns. It helps us focus on the God that never changes. So today, whatever the day holds for you, choose to worship Christ. Not just for what He's done, but for who He is and what He will do. So no matter what comes, fix your eyes on Him. That's all for this episode of Renew. Until next time, God bless.